All right, we are at the top of page 4 on hyperbolas. You'll notice that your y is the positive one here, so that means your a, your transverse axis is going to be this one. Your a square here is equal to 4, so what is a?
Equal to?
It's equal to 2, and b square is going to be 25, so what's b?
5.
5, okay. Let's see, what is my center on this one?
It is -1, 4.
Wrong.
What?
Sorry.
Oh, 4, -1.
Okay, and what you want to do there is make sure that your h always goes with your x and your k always goes with your y.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go ahead and draw our x and y axis. We'll plot our center first, which is at 4, -1. 4 and -1. Here's my center. Now, which way does my transverse axis go? It's going to be vertical, right?
Yes.
So up and down, so I'm going to go up 2, boom, and then I'm going to go down 2. So those are actually my vertices right there. But I need to find my conjugate axis, and it's going to go out 5. That's quite a bit, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, we're going to go over this way 5. And we'll go over that way 5, and I'm going to go ahead and put in my little rectangle. And I'll draw in my asymptotes, which are the diagonals of my rectangle. Make sure that you make them dotted. Now, do you remember that y was the positive here, so my branches are going to open up and down here, right? And they're going to basically, here's my vertex, and it's going to try to hug the asymptote. It's always going to approach it, but it will never cross it. It'll just keep getting closer and closer and closer. All right, so let's see. We need to tell it our vertices. So my vertex was up and down, so on my center, the vertex is going to stay at 4, but it went up 2, so up 2 is going to be at +1, and then it went down 2, which is going to be at -3. So these would be my vertices, right? 4, 1, and 4, -3.
Yeah.
Oh, it wants me to find the foci, so we need to find c. Remember, c is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared. So c equals 25 plus 4, so c equals square root of 29. That's lovely. So what is square root of 29? Well, it's more than 5, but less than 6, right?
Yes.
So we'll just say approximately 5.5 for right now, just so I'll have somewhere to graph it. Okay? So I go over 4.
What's your
And here-
approximate symbol?
It's a double wiggly.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I go 2. Okay, so from the center, it's going to be about there and about there for the focus. I know I'm not perfect on it, but
You
let's
just
just
go
say
5 from the vertice
it's,
up and down, right?
yeah, it's going to be at 4, comma, -1 plus square root of 29, and 4, comma, -1 minus square root of 29. Okay, it asks for eccentricity. Eccentricity is equal to c over a. So that's like square root of 29 over 2. So it's obviously, you know, bigger than 1. More bigger than 1 than we had before. Should be bigger than 2. And you can see that this is definitely flatter and wider than the other one that we graphed.
Yes.
It asks us in the notes there to label A and B. And so let's do that. I would say this right here, that distance from here over to some side of this thing here, that's your B. And your A is from this center to the vertex. And we can pause that. All right. We're on P4EX2, page 4, example 2, and we're looking at the one that says find the equation of a hyperbola whose foci are 3, -2, and 3, 10, and whose transverse axis is vertical and has a length of 8. So if it tells me my transverse axis is vertical, what does that mean? That means,
Goes up and down.
right, we're going to have something like this going on, right?
Yep.
All right. What does it tell me the length is? 8?
Yes.
Okay, so we know the distance from the center to whatever the vertex is, that's A, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the length of the entire transverse axis is 2A. So 2A equals 8. I would divide both sides by 2, and I get A equals 4. And what we're trying to do here is come up with the equation, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. It told me where both of my foci were. Where is the center in relationship to the foci?
Directly in between them.
Halfway in
Yes.
between them, and we call that the midpoint. And so
Yes.
we're going to use our midpoint formula in order to find our center. So to find center, use midpoint. So that would be x sub 1 plus x sub 2 all over 2, and then y sub 1 plus y sub 2 all over 2. So what does that give us? 3 plus 3 over 2, -2 plus 10 over 2. So what do we get? 6 over 2, 8 over 2, 3, 4 is my center.
Yep.
Okay. Now, let's see. X minus h quantity squared all over A. No, because it's vertical transverse axis.
Yes.
So
you'd
y
have
is going to come
Y.
first.
Yeah.
But I still don't know what my B is. Can I find C with the information that I have?
No,
What is
'cause there's
C?
another B.
C equals the square root of a squared plus b squared.
Okay, but do I know where the focus is?
No. Wait. Yes. Never mind.
And do I know where my center is?
Yes.
So how far is it from, say, this focus to this center? Just 6.
6.
How far is it from this one to this one?
6.
6. Can you see that C is 6?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because it's just directly, like, to do my picture here, right? My little focus is going to be up here or down here, and it's actually 6 away from the center.
Mm-hmm.
Good to go on that one? So now I have C and A. Can I find the B?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I can. C equals square root of A squared plus B squared. So 6 equals square root of 16 plus B squared. How would I solve that?
Square both sides.
Square both sides. 36 equals 16 plus B squared. I'll subtract 16 from both sides. 20 equals B squared. I'm pretty good with that. I shouldn't have to change that, because in my formula,
It's B squared.
it's B squared. So I'm going to write down the general form. It's going to be y minus k quantity squared over A squared minus x minus h quantity squared over B squared equals 1. Do we know our center?
Yes.
Do we know our A?
Yep.
We know our B, so we can
Yep.
fill it in, right?
Uh-huh.
So y minus, where's my center? Oh,
4.
here it is, 3, 4. So 4 quantity squared over, A was 4, so A squared is 16 minus x minus 3, came from the center here, all over 20 equals 1. There's your equation. How sweet is that? That worked out pretty well, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the trickiest part was recognizing that it was vertical. If you want to do like a little sketch or graph or scratch or whatever you want to call it, gretch, scratch, just a really small thing to get you to see where your focuses are, because they're going to lie on the actual transverse axis. The vertex lies on the transverse axis. The transverse axis go through the center, so you can figure out whether it opens up or down and to find your distances. You can do like a little sketch, and that'll help.
Okay.
All right, we can kill that.